I'm Angeline Ong, and welcome to Beat the Street, the show that gives you the tradable news and data you need ahead of the Wall Street Open. Coming up, inflation and the Fed. Investors eye inflation figures to see if higher prices are creeping back in, meaning it'll be tricky for the Fed to justify a rate cut in June. Bitcoin FOMO, Bitcoin topping 62,000. Where to next? We'll ask Rick Bentignor very shortly from New York. And oil slips, oil prices under pressure after a bigger than expected buildup in US crude stocks. Now, a very warm welcome to the show. Just showing you the markets because we're just waiting on that core PCE index any moment now. Just looking at where we stand at the moment, 38, around 38,894 is where we are trading. Currently waiting on that PCE figure still. But what is actually key is if we get a stronger than expected figure, and that's what has been anticipated, then we might see further signs that perhaps the Fed might have to keep its powder dry, really, because the June, the timing, or rather the market's expecting it to cut rates, then might actually become a wait-and-see stance. We just got that figure. 0.3% was what was expected, and it was bang in line with expectations, 0.3% there. So let's just check. I suspect not much of a reaction given it is as expected. Just looking at the 15-minute chart there for you, if I may. Actually, there's an uptick right now, as you can see on the green candle. Let's bring up a minute chart. So this is the Dow Jones Industrials, and there you have it. A spike there now showing. Let's look at the Tech 100 as well. Similar picture there after that PCE number came in line with expectations. And the US dollar basket the dollar is coming down, ticking lower as we speak. Let's cross live now to Rick Bentignor, waiting for us in the US for a quick reaction to this. Rick, what do you make of that number?
Well, it came in as expected. The core number actually came in 1/10 higher, and yet you're seeing futures unwind all the losses that had just been built in prior to the number. I had noticed that S&P futures over the last 15 minutes or so had sold down almost 20 points. They're now up 3 points. So whatever selling was done in anticipation of a hot number has been taken away, and the market's fairly flat right now. So all things good as far as what to expect for today. We could have certainly seen the type day that could have been a very negative one if we came in very hot. Numbers did not. So I'd say more or less we're kind of about the same as we were.
Now, Rick, you watch this market probably closer than others. What do you make of this expectation now of that June timing? I know we spoke earlier in the year, and we both said that it really seems strange that the market was pricing in the spring cut, and lo and behold, it's now been pushed back. Do you foresee the timing being pushed back even further?
To start the year, Angeline, Fed Fund futures traders had priced in 7 cuts for this year. And when we spoke in January, we both agreed that that seemed rather high and unlikely. They've moved it down to about 4 cuts, maybe 5. And even that may be too much for what's actually going to happen. I could see this easily pushed out to the second half of the year. And possibly, depending upon other statistics that come in that the Fed is going to focus on, I think it's possible we only see a few cuts this year, if any. But me personally, I put it more like 3 cuts and much more so towards the fall as compared to doing something in late spring or early summer.
Rick, I also want to talk about gold, because I know that you trade gold. Just looking at spot gold right now, like many of the markets, there was a reaction, but it's now coming back down again. Just bringing it out to a wider chart there, and we're still seeing this base formation at around 1975, but really that price has been trading sideways. Where do you see gold going? Because you were looking at a breakout a few months back, right?
Well, what I'm saying to my clients is that either you need a significant sell-off in gold to do some buying of it, or you need to make new all-time highs that are sustained. In the futures markets a few months ago, there was one day that actually posted a large new all-time high, but it was really ended up being a 2-day event, and then prices came right back down. So it was probably a squeeze of a fund who was short futures that propped the price higher. Spot gold did not make a new high at that same time. So I think really what you need is a move above 2100 in the futures markets that stays above 2100. And if you get that, then you have a good chance of getting to 2400 to 2500 as the next target. Otherwise, as long as we continue to trade, let's just call it $2,000 plus or minus $100, gold's dead money for now.
And Rick, the other financial instrument really grabbing the headlines and really talk of the town here at IG, as well as Bitcoin. Just showing you the chart here. We're seeing it above 62,000, but I'm just going to widen this out to a monthly chart. It's edging ever closer to the levels seen in November 2021. What do you think is behind this move? And I know you've taken some money off the table, Rick.
Yeah, so I personally sold some Bitcoin just a couple days ago in the upper 50s, meaning upper 50,000s. I had bought some last summer at 26,000, kind of against the uptrend line that you could visualize even in your head here against all those lows. And so I more than doubled my money. And so I sold half of what I had from that purchase. Bitcoin's the type thing. Look, it's getting massive inflows now, and especially because of the ease of being able to get in because of the 11 ETFs that were approved in the United States. The inflows are tremendous, and it's certainly more than offsetting any of the sellers that are there right now. 80% of Bitcoin investors do not intend to sell until the prices are much more substantially higher. Therefore, there's very little supply available for very big demand. Inflows over the last few days are bigger than if you added the SPY, SPY, and QQQ traded volume, they even exceeded that. And nothing typically comes close to those. And the inflows into Bitcoin ETFs have been well above those in the last 48 hours. So there's tremendous demand. I had some technical levels between, I think it was 56 and 58,200 or so. So in that range, I took some off, just being part of the discipline that I follow. And am I upset to see it up at $62,000? No, not at all. I have a very disciplined approach to how we trade. And look, could this get to 100,000? Could it get to 200,000? It could. It's a speculative frenzy, and I'm willing to still be part of that ride. But like most things in this, let's call it, arena of hugely speculative investments, at some point it will fall apart. And the question is, are you smart enough to get out before it does? So that's how I kind of look at Bitcoin.
Looks like you are. Thank you so much, Rick Bensignor, the founder and managing partner at Bensignor Investment Strategies. Now, just very quickly checking in on Microsoft as well, because we have some news out of the Wall Street Journal, really. The SEC is probing internal comms by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. This is part of an investigation into whether or not the company's investors were misled, according to the Wall Street Journal. OpenAI, SEC, and Microsoft have declined to immediately comment on that story. And Meta is one other story that we're also keeping an eye on in the tech space. This is after Meta was hit with privacy complaints on Thursday as eight EU consumer groups asked watchdogs to act against the Facebook owner for alleged breaches of the bloc's privacy rules when it collects user data. According to Ursula Packel, Deputy Director General of the European Consumer Organization, surveillance-based business models pose all kinds of problems under the GDPR, and it's time for data protection authorities to stop Meta's unfair data processing and its infringing of people's fundamental rights. Also, another one to keep an eye on is Boeing, because that story seems to have legs. Boeing is, of course, all sessions on the IG platform, just monitoring it. It's currently up 0.75%, so not much of a reaction, really. But we're keeping an eye on it after the US Department of Justice said it was looking into the plane maker's door plug blowout last month. And also, last but not least, soybean futures, and I've got soybean oil here just to give you a look at the trend. Chicago soybean futures fell on Thursday. This is because Brazil poured cheap beans into an already well-supplied market. And one other one that we've been keeping an eye on all week, because there's been a huge amount of volatility, is crude. Lots of technical levels there. Sean Morrison has been taking a closer look.
The price of WTI oil or US crude currently still trades in a broad range-bound environment, but it is testing resistance of that range, with the resistance, that upper end of resistance being 79.50. Now, that's a key level to watch for traders, because if we do manage to start seeing the price moving above that, that could spell a bit of a longer-term trend reversal. So we had this preceding move down, we've had this consolidation. If we do manage to get above that, that could see an upside breakout and suggest markets now making higher highs and higher lows, building blocks of an uptrend. Now, that hasn't happened yet, and we still assume the range to be in place until we do see the breakout, but certainly want to watch for traders of US crude.
And just taking a quick look at the US markets, because we are now minutes from the open, and just showing you a minute chart here, because I can show you the reaction to that PCE number, which came in bang in line with expectations. As you can see there, quite a spike up after some corrective stances, but the upward trend is still there ahead of the open. And that's the latest for your edition of Beat the Street. I'm Angeline Ong, and this is IGTV.